He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavanishwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Pancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. So before we begin, I would just like to start with a little disclaimer that I myself, my wife is perfect and complete, but I am imperfect. And I've made many, many mistakes throughout my life serving as a devotee, and probably will continue to make mistakes also as we go forward. I take solace in the fact that the Bhagavad Gita says every endeavor is covered by some fault, and I feel like that directly refers to me. So always making some mistakes, and we're not here as perfect jivas trying to present something to you. We're just here simply to share an inspiration.
Hare Krishna.
Do we have the other mic?
We also just want to say that we're not so special to come and speak to you about such a topic as devotee care, but we're simply here to try to share and encourage, a bit like what was done just previously in the morning talk in terms of book distribution. It's like waving the flag. So you have CPO waving the flag, book distribution waving the flag. So we're just waving that flag of devotee care. And just to remind that anything that we're trying to do, the new temples, the new centers, or any project, if the foundation isn't with care, let alone devotee care, but just care, it doesn't actually fructify in the way that we may think it will or should. So we're just trying to wave that flag. And also more so because our spiritual master actually instructed us to do this after having served at ISKCON London for the time that we did. Maharaj said the main lacking in ISKCON is that devotees just need someone to care, someone to listen. And he really wanted us to stress this and to travel and to do this, not just to talk about it, but to do it. And just to promote this essence of this movement, which is devotee care.
Excellent. So we were so inspired when we saw this message come up that Maharaj had named the meetings Feel, Heal, and Be Real. So we felt this was definitely a powerful statement. And certainly since we've been here, we'd like to first express our deep gratitude to the leaders of Zone 1, all of you, but especially those leaders who invited us enthusiastically, taking a chance. They don't really know us. We could come here and say anything, but they're watching very closely, especially Mother Vrinda. She's got her cane ready if there's anything. But these devotees are just so wonderful, and I must say that we've learned so much just sitting here, being with all of you, and you are all part of such an inspirational yatra. You should give yourselves a big round of applause. And guided by such wonderful, wonderful devotees, and it's nice to see youth, seniors, so many devotees from across the spectrum. Vrinda Devi told me that she didn't want another presentation about why devotee care. We already know devotee care. And I thought, well, that's advanced, because I've been to a few temples where senior devotees have said such things as, what the hell is all this devotee care? Beep. And I was like, yes, exactly. We're here to talk about devotee care. So we're hoping that today will be a little more practical. And I just wanted to say that yesterday I thought was really wonderful representation of devotee care. Often we may have different misconceptions. If we send a piece of paper around the room asking devotees to write down what devotee care means, we'd probably come back with at least 50 different reasons or explanations or definitions. But yesterday was a clear example of devotee care, and we have wonderful devotees here who are trying to shelter us, to protect us, to give us space to understand, to question, to grow, and to learn. And this is certainly one of the most powerful forms of care. So I would like to say I really enjoyed the Garanga potatoes yesterday. So thank you very much. That's great.
I just wanted to say that it comes across here as very personal. It really, there's a sense of family. It doesn't. I don't mind I think it was mentioned yesterday to find someone that likes to do all the tick the boxes, I like all that stuff personally. So sitting in a meeting all day that has nothing to do with me in one sense, I don't mind, I like it. But it was extremely personal, friendly, and I thought, what a family atmosphere. Because from being personal, being friendly, you create community which becomes family, spiritual family. And this is what has come across to me in the short time that we've been here with the devotees here.
And of course, in a family, we care. We care about each other, so like that. Next slide. We're going to start with something that we've kind of already done a little bit, but it's a little different. And we're going to be a little interactive here. So we're very blessed. We had Vaisheshika Prabhu with us in Bhaktivedanta Manor before when we were setting up the office there. We asked him to do a little interactive session. And he brought up this point, and I thought, this is brilliant. And we've changed it slightly. It used to be MMFI, but one devotee said, I don't want an I want a V. So we changed it to a V. So he said that you should treat every person when you see them as if they have a sign hanging around their neck that says MMFV. And what does that stand for? Make me feel valued. So when we see another devotee, we should feel that there's a little sticker, a sign, a badge on their shoulder, and it's our obligation to make them feel valued. So we're going to take a moment, and we don't have so much time. Usually we get everyone to get up, walk around, and it transforms the atmosphere. But the atmosphere is already transformed. But we're going to just get you now, within the next minute or two, to turn to a person next to you and make them feel valued. And we can do this by doing something like this. Bhakti Marg, I just really want to greatly appreciate your years of dedication to Srila Prabhupada. We're not starting yet. They're very eager. Actually, you don't need an example, but Maharaj, I'll come over and tell you privately. So we'll let you go ahead and turn to the person next to you and make them feel valued by really expressing something that you're grateful for them, some quality or personal thing that you see in them. Hare Krishna, so you can have your attention now. If you can please stop making people feel valued. Okay, Hare Krishna. So the easiest way to show care, because Vrinda Devi really inspired me to make it as practical as possible. So literally everything we do is practical. So that was so practical. You may think, whatever, we just wasted some time, but we didn't. It has such a deep and powerful impact when you turn to someone and you just let them know that I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for everything that you're doing, for the dedication that you're giving. It's very inspiring. It touches the heart, that transforms relationships, and it makes so many things possible. So the easiest way to show care, point number one, is to pay attention to other people. See, as Vaisheshika Prabhu says, we have to catch people doing something right. Who here likes to catch people doing something wrong? Let's be honest. Who has a tendency to catch people doing something wrong? If you're a manager or a leader, and you don't raise your hand now, but okay. So the tendency is to do that, but we have to try to catch people doing something right. Fan the spark, and I really like it how Vaisheshika Guru says we have to encourage the heck. Encourage the heck out of people. And then he says, because the heck gets in there. So you got to encourage it out. So I love that. Okay, next slide. See, the band's already warming up. And I don't think that's the next slide. What we're going to do, again, we take a little bit of time just to do something, a little sankalpa. We're not going to make it very long. But just in your mind now, take a deep breath. And thank you very much for those wonderful exercises. That was great. I feel completely rejuvenated. Is it amazing? I really appreciate it. You added great value to this whole thing. You made it possible for me to be here. Thank you. So I request everyone to just close your eyes for one moment and really just think of a deep intention and dedication right now, what you would like to get out of this session and what you would like to contribute to this session. If you want, you can write it down. Just, you know, how this session on devotee care you feel can positively impact you and how you can maybe take that and positively impact others. So my intention, dear Krishna, and all the assembled Vaishnavas, we beg blessings that you'll see fit to bestow your mercy upon us, so that we can speak something relevant and bona fide in line with our founder Acharya and Parampara, that is pleasing and beneficial to the assembled Vaishnavas, despite our incompetencies and shortcomings. Please engage us in your service. Okay, next slide.
So Srila Prabhupada, needing no introduction, is our ambassador of devotee care, our Acharya. And so much can be said on what Srila Prabhupada did on so many different levels in terms of this area of care. I mean, one of them, again, obviously being books, but just as we'll see,
You can go to the next slide.
just in the way that, just the way that Srila Prabhupada would sign off his letters would show where his focus was. I hope this meets you in good health, your ever well-wisher. And I was thinking, to show that we truly care for someone means that we can empower them, we can empower them to move mountains within themselves in terms of Krishna consciousness or otherwise, because someone actually believes in me and feels for my care. And one example I can give personally, when I was coming to the temple, and the leader at the time, I wasn't generally seen as a community member. You weren't generally seen. And so every now and then, after a while, he would speak to me and he was like, oh, wow, because it's nice to be seen by the leaders. It's nice to be. And then he'd say, Bhakti and Bhavana, when are you going to become a patron member? You'd be like, oh, and then he'd go away. And then I was never actually seen at any other time. So I remember feeling quite discouraged and thinking, I wish someone would ask me, how do you chant 16 rounds? You know, what are you reading right now? Like that. And it wasn't until there was a shift in consciousness in terms of the leadership that happened, that I felt seen and I felt, wow, I feel really cared for. Like someone actually said, I think you should start filling in sadhana charts. Why? Because then we can help you progress on the path for initiation. I'm really, it was like a good 10, maybe more years when that happened. But I actually felt like I thrived, and I started to actually feel I'm going to truly give my life to this mission, just because someone just turned on that almost like a light and on me and showed that they cared. So, do you want to? No, you can. So would someone like to read this?
The devotees of Krishna are the most exalted persons on this planet, better than kings, all of them. So we should always remember that, and like the bumblebee, Always look for the nectar or the best qualities of a person.
I think it's just good.
Is it okay? Do you have something to say?
I was just going to say that this is a good example of how we should see devotees in terms of how to always care, but also maybe avoid offenses and be personal, but at the same time understand this is actually how I want to be seen too. So let me apply it to others.
Next slide. So there's a story from the Puranas of, and some of you may have heard this before, of a 92-year-old man. Is there anyone here 92? Anyone? Okay, no 92-year-olds yet. So he was planting some coconut trees, and along came the king and his retinue, and they were traveling by, and the king noticed this elderly gentleman planting a coconut tree, and he kind of snickered to himself a little bit, and he called him over, and he said, "My dear sir, you do realize that it will take minimum sort of 15 years for that coconut tree to really produce any fruits." And the elderly gentleman said, "My dear Lord, I'm very aware of that. Thank you." And he said, "So why are you planting coconut trees at 92? And he said, "I'm not planting these trees for me, I'm planting them for my grandchildren." He said, "Because my grandfather planted that tree over there and I lived off those fruits my whole life. So the point is that we have to actually plan for the future, and this devotee care is generational work." When we were serving at Bhaktivedanta Manor, many senior Prabhupada disciples came to me, and once we started the devotee care office at the manor, and they were like, "We need this, we need that," and I was like, "I know, I wish we had started this 15 or 20 years ago. Then we might have been ready for this time when you need it the most." But that doesn't mean that we should be discouraged. We should continue because we should know that we do need it. We need to think about these things and plan for the future.
Sometimes we see also that in our temples we can feel very alone even if it's very packed, and we may therefore even overlook people, as weird as odd as that might sound, because, well, look at it, look at the Sunday feast, look at the Janmashtami, look at the book distribution table, and within that you can just, there are people, maybe some of you here, that may feel, is anyone going to talk to me? Does anyone notice me? I remember when I was coming to the temple first, I was reading Prabhupada's books, and I wasn't actually allowed to go to the temple first because my parents were a bit strict like that, where are you going, what are you doing? But I was reading Back to God in magazines regularly, and I was reading Prabhupada's books, and I was like, oh, it's so amazing. So after 6 months of doing that and chanting and everything, and I went to the temple, it was like, this isn't the temple that's in the magazines and that's in the books. It just, like, there was no one there, the vibrancy. And I sat down for the Saturday lunch program, and I was shy, and then they had the class and the arati, and no one spoke to me, and they served prasadam, you're sitting in the rows, and I had prasadam, no one spoke. And then everyone left. And I was the only one sitting there in the temple room. And I was like, what do I do now? And so I asked one of the devotees who was cleaning up. He wanted me to leave because he was sweeping. I said, Prabhu, where's the devotees? And actually, I didn't say Prabhu, I didn't know that word. So I said, where's the devotees? And he started laughing, like, who is she? Why are you asking for the devotees? And then he spoke to someone else, and they were like, the residents are upstairs taking a nap now. Do you need something? And then so I left. And it's really interesting that this went on for a couple of weeks or maybe a couple of months. And finally, one Srila Prabhupada disciple, one lady who realized no one's actually noticing devotees that are coming and going. So all she did, because this is ISKCON London, so it's a big, tall building at the top of the stairs, she just stood at the top of the stairs. And that's all she did. And when you come up the stairs, she'd say, Hare Krishna. And it was amazing because I went up the stairs and someone spoke to me and I said, Hare Krishna, and that was it. There was a connection, and every time I went up she would speak to me, and not long after she engaged me in some service. So not only did I feel seen and cared for, but I got connected. As soon as I got seen and connected, it was like everything just opened up for me.
Jayapataka Maharaj tells a story, some of you may be familiar with this, of how he was at one Sunday feast talk, and There was a devotee there he decided to sit next to and talk to, and he was speaking to him, and I think he said his name was John or Richard or something, and he was just asking him, and he said, so how long have you been coming? He said, about 15 years. And he said, 15 years? Why aren't you initiated yet? He said, why would I get initiated? I see the way they treat the initiated devotees. He said, it's better I stay a newcomer. Because then people like you sit next to me and give me attention. So like that. So sometimes it can occur like that. Not in all temples, and probably not in Zone 1 anywhere. So I meant that. That wasn't a slight in any way, I assure you. Caring for our leaders and leaders caring for others. So this is a beautiful thing, as we mentioned here. We see that the top layer of leadership here is giving so much care and so much open to devotee care also. And it's not easy being a leader. All of you are also leaders. It's difficult to make the decisions. Yesterday, having to talk about so many different things, issues, matters that come up. And I think I heard Vrenda Devi say a few times, it's like, did I join ISKCON to do this? In fact, when I moved into the temple as a brahmachari, I'd been working in IT for years, and I was like, I'm never going to touch another computer again. I'm just going to chant Hare Krishna and read books. And then the temple president asked me to build a database for the Sankirtan department. and I said, but I don't want to touch computers. And he said, no, this is needed, and you have to engage your service and engage your skills in Krishna service. So leadership is a difficult area, and we have to look after our leaders, and as leaders we also have to know how to look after others, so it's a very important point.
So the aims for the talk today are a compass for devotee care development, simple implementation, and making devotee care a culture.
Okay. I think they were all there. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So the first one is a compass for devotee care development. So the International Vision and Mission Statement for Devotee Care, is as follows. Every devotee is spiritually happy and materially well situated, positively identifying with ISKCON as a caring society. So this is a very nice vision statement. When we do the devotee care course, we often open this up and ask devotees, how do you feel about this? Does anything stand out to you? What do you think it would take to get to this point? Next slide.
Each devotee responsibly looks after his or her diverse needs, can easily and successfully seek qualified help within the society, and wholeheartedly extends that care to others.
So the idea of this vision and mission is to be practical, is that it's also important that we have these guidelines and these principles. So the last part for the mission.
We strive to ensure that the Vaishnava virtue of care pervades all aspects of the ISKCON society, support and provide specific care services that enhance the spiritual, emotional, physical and social well-being of all ISKCON members.
I find that very inspirational. I don't know about anyone else, but so now we're going to look at what we call the spectrum of care. This is from, again, the devotee care course. I think some of you have attended that, some through the GBC College. So this is really a compass for guiding us to grow and expand. One devotee we were speaking with, who also teaches the course and travels a lot, we were discussing how do you define devotee care, and he said you can define devotee care with one word, and that one word is sensitivity. And he said because actually care means you have to be sensitive. And it doesn't mean you have to be sentimental, but you have to be sensitive to the needs, the interests, and the concerns of every single individual, because every individual is unique and different. Next slide. I think we skipped one. If you could go back. Yeah. So devotee care is a culture that needs to be cultivated and a consciousness that needs to become second nature. And in fact, we shouldn't actually need to talk about it. It should just be what happens and what goes on. But unfortunately, it's very easy to get distracted and to do other things, and somehow care falls by the wayside. Next slide.
And devotee care is not just or exclusively for the elderly, the sick, or those who are leaving their body. Oftentimes when we go to different temples, it's like, are you going to build a care home, or are you going to look after the old people? But it's actually something, like I was saying at the beginning of it, it should be the foundation of every temple center project. Care should be there. Devotee care is, as we say, it's for everyone of all ages and classifications and stages of life.
So now the spectrum. So this first thing, we have 12 areas of devotee care, which were identified by a team of about 50 to 75 leaders from across the globe who helped to put together the devotee care course. And these are not exhaustive areas, but these are, you can go to the next slide. But it's a good compass or a place to start. And of course, we're not going to be able to implement all of these areas, nor may it be it may not even be necessary in all temples. Some temples may not have brahmacharis, or so you may not need to worry about that aspect, or some areas may not even have elderly people. It's unique how we've gone to different temples and we see the areas that they choose to focus on, which is something we're going to do tomorrow. So we have spiritual life as a primary area, healthcare, marriage, child rearing, education, career, employment, financial, housing, travel, immigration, consumer, and lifestyle, legal, civic, and mediation. Yes, believe it or not, sometimes we need to have mediation amongst the devotees. They don't always get on so well. But out of all of these, probably if we look at it, we can see that we probably ourselves either need care in one of these areas or several, or we know devotees have come to us and need care in these different areas. So this is a powerful compass. And we can go into the next slide, which is the 12 recipients of care. And next slide after that. So the recipients, ladies, cows, brahmanas, children and youth, the elderly, brahmacharis, grihastas, vanaprasthas, sannyasis, other temple residents, leaders, and senior devotees. And as mentioned before, on the devotee care course, we open these areas and recipients up to discuss how they look in each of our individual temples and areas. Across the nation, across the globe rather, there are many, between the areas and recipients, there are many projects that have started, like Karuna Care, the Grihasta Vision Team, the Vaishnavi Ministry, Cow Protection, Intimate Partner Abuse, Child Protection Office, Bhaktivedanta Medical Association, TSI, the Sangha Initiative, ISKCON Education, ISKCON Resolve, Sattva Life, GBC College, Vaishnava's Care, Bhakti Recovery Group. There are so many different organizations who are trying to promote and encourage care in different areas specifically. So like that. Next section. Next.
So now we're going to try to share some simple implementation of how we can care. First off is self-care, which we don't always think of in terms of devotee care. But it's not selfish, and a lot of times we may be in the mood of, no, I must keep doing, or taking things on. But we also need to learn, as Srila Prabhupada was often say, to swim ourselves before I can save the drowning person. And that means setting, for example, boundaries. It's okay to do that in our spiritual life, and to make sure, am I remaining spiritually buoyant? Am I dipping into that aspects of my spiritual life that drew me here, that will keep me here, so that I can care for others? Because there's nothing worse than when you're going up to someone and you feel that they need care, and almost you're going to them to receive the care, and they look a bit frazzled, or a little bit wound up, or tired, or whatever. So it's very important that we have a self-care first.
Next slide. Yeah, emotion regulation strategies. So oftentimes, this is related to self-care, we really need to learn to actually deal with our own selves, regulate our own emotions. I'm not sure if anyone has had that experience where it's not always so easy to control ourselves. We may get worked up easily as leaders. You may find yourselves in difficult situations where you are not yourself as stable or balanced. So there are many, many aspects that need to be looked at. Next slide.
So, one golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So often we can be too busy doing stuff, as I was saying, and we just forget to treat each other with the basic respect, like a human. And sometimes it can be that if we're at work or at college or whatever, we may treat human beings differently than when we come across our own people, as it were, the devotees, I mean, in terms of our own people. So it's really important not to take each other for granted, and also as leaders especially, not to think of the mission over the people, and to really strike that balance of inspiring, of course, creating and maintaining, but to remember that there are human beings at the core of it.
Yeah, we're all spirit souls, part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. I think there's a devotee here named Jivadoya. So, yes, empathic listening is another practical way. I think on Anuttama Prabhu's course, he does effective listening skills, and I'm seeing across the room that devotees are definitely in need of some prasadam and a little bit of a break. But we're going to continue. I'm empathically feeling you right now. So I want you to know I'm with you. I feel you, and I'm hungry too. Okay, so Paraduka Duki. So we're going to speed up a little bit here. See if we get to this. Next slide. So anyway, one thing you can do in your centers is you can do an inventory based on the compass that we gave you, the spectrum of care, and you can see, and we're hearing, listening to all of these wonderful reports, the nectar drops, that already so many devotees are doing so many things that are exhibiting care. So we shouldn't think that we're not doing any care, and we're not here to tell you that you aren't doing any care, because we can see that you all already care. You wouldn't be here if you didn't. So there's already an inventory of things that you can see that you're doing as care, and this is a great foundation of a place to start, and possibly a place that things could be improved or grown from there. It's not like you have to start something brand new. It's really important to do a little inventory and see what's already there. One thing that we're about to launch at the Bhakti Center is when we did the devotee care course, the devotees came up with the idea of creating a care net, having a resource manual where devotees could go and find whatever they need in the fields of children, family, chaplaincy, end of life, health, wellness, legal matters, all of these different areas that we must know devotees or know that there are institutional places where we can send devotees. So it's a resource to help the devotees so that they can go and find the help that they may need, and at least we can be helpful to direct them in that way.
Is that something that we can send to people? Is that like a website?
Once we finish it, at the moment it's not posted as a website. We're sending it first as a link, so we'll have it as a living document that people can access electronically, but also as a PDF. So once we finish it, I'll happily share it with you, with the leaders here, and we can put it out. In fact, I thought, anyway, I'll send something in a minute to everyone also. So the next slide. Yep.
Also, mentorship.
No, back. Thank you.
Mentorship system is a great way to support and care. It's an excellent way to create friendship and to guide someone in one sense, from the time that they enter the temple even. I mean, I think I've been doing mentorship since 2008. And just when I was sitting at the back there, some of them were just texting me about something back in from London. But I was thinking about how we've come so far. And it's like, whenever they leave, someone gets married and they go, they change temple, this or that. But it's like, they know there's a pillar. There's at least one person that I can rely on, a strong pillar in my spiritual life that I can always lean on and take shelter from. And we found mentorship is such a wonderful way of giving shelter and care.
And mentorship can come whatever system that you have in place. I know devotees are speaking Bhakti Vriksha, there may be so many different things. At At the Bhakti Center, they have something called community groups that was started some time ago, where specifically they have a person that leads a community group. So when new people come, they immediately join a group. So for us in London, that was what we called our second tier mentorship. So once, so there's so many different things you can do, but the point is that we have to create a space where there is someone who cares about your people. I heard someone was saying 1 looks after 1, or 4 looks after 4, or something like that. So there were different things. Next slide. Doing exactly what you're doing here, creating leadership sanghas. Personally, I feel that it's vital that the leaders come together, not just also to speak about business, speak about service at hand, but also to hear and chant together. Just being in kirtan together, just hearing and discussing Bhagavatam, discussing Srila Prabhupada's books, and growing together as devotees. I don't know how many devotees I've met who said that they joined to become managers. Many people join because they want to chant. Sorry, I forgot. I hadn't spoken to you directly. But most devotees join because of prasadam, first and foremost. Then it's the holy name. And then it's the association of devotees. So coming together and associating with each other is vitally important. There are many other ideas we could have presented here when we set up the, if you go back to the same one just for a moment, set up the Devotee Care Office for Bhaktivedanta Matter. They had such an extensive community there already that within a year we were able to put on something called the Devotee Care Fest. So we put on a festival that filled up the entire Haveli. They had this probably this almost entire hotel area, not the entire thing, and we had so many activities going on of different functions of devotees they were doing different things. They had the Marriage Bureau, Krishna Club, they had a Meals on Wheels program. And from this, one devotee came who was a dentist. He had 8 or 9 different dental practices. And he got on the stage and he said, he was so inspired by the event that he said, I've basically created my little dental empire. I've taken so much for so many years. He said, now I'm giving back. And on the stage, he offered free dental care to all of Prabhupada's disciples in the community and to all the brahmacharis and brahmacharinis. And to this day now, 3 years later, devotees are still going and getting free dental care from this person. So the point is that in our communities, we have immense resources of people who want to give. We're sitting in a hotel because someone placed a book in a person's hotel. We do not understand the immense opportunities that we have, but being driven by devotees like Indresh, Gaur Prabhu, who are inspiring us to continue by expanding, we're going to meet more and more people, and people want to give. The nature of the living entity is they want to give love. We want to give or we want to receive love, so we just have to encourage and inspire devotees to do that. Okay, and the last section, we're coming to the end. Hang on with us. I see the yawns. I see the heads nodding. It is okay. We're almost at the end. Just hang on with us.
There's no prasadam in the building.
There's no prasadam in the building.
Oh, there's some banana. So
It's not here yet.
we're good. We're good.
All right, we're slowing down. Okay. Next slide, please.
So the final section being making devotee care the culture.
Next slide. So, one thing we would like to encourage is a devotee care course. I was very grateful. A devotee from Halifax, Mayank, reached out to me on the encouragement of Ambarish Prabhu, and was very enthusiastic. What can I do? How can we make this happen? So the challenge is that the devotee care course, I took that slide up. The devotee care course actually is meant to be 24 hours long, which is usually broken into 4 6-hour days. And as soon as you say that to any leader, they're like, right, flabbergasted. Where am I supposed to get 4 full days to sit with you talking about devotee care? I'll be neglecting everything I'm supposed to be doing. So it's a very difficult thing. Although we have run it in many temples, often we try to cram it into a long weekend with a Thursday and a Friday night, which can be done, or we do some sessions online. But we want to make it's definitely much better done in person. It is so much better done in person. During COVID, we were doing it online, and it works. It can be done online. but in person it's just so much better. So we're willing to look to see how we can make it practical for if the devotees here in Zone 1 are interested, then we want to do this devotee care course, make it available online, however we can make it work for you. So next slide. Yeah, we'll just kind of, anyway, you can read it.
So this is a GBC resolution from 2019 that the GBC encourages all ISKCON temples to hold the 4-day devotee care course entitled Embedding Care in Krishna Conscious Communities for all caregivers and administrators.
So we don't want to, say the GBC said you have to do it or anything.
Yeah.
Shared it anyhow. Next slide. The next thing is that we really want to encourage the establishment of devotee care offices. I want to acknowledge, is the devotee's name Anutama? Was it Anutama Prabhu who spoke about book distribution?
Yes.
Yes, Anutama Prabhu, that's really one. Sorry?
Junior.
Junior, thank you. Yes. Anutama Junior, Prabhu. That was really, really powerful, and I was thinking, yeah, this is the inspiration. You need, as Bhava Bhakti was saying, you need someone to wave the flag. You need someone to remind us, yes, book distribution is important, so we have to talk about it. So we feel that as well as Pujari departments, finance departments, book distribution departments, Sankirtan departments, all the departments that we normally have in a center, there should be one person in every center who waves the flag for devotee care. Can we please remember that we have to actually feed the devotees nicely? Can we remember that actually the boiler isn't working, so it's very cold? Like in London, we had this thing. I cannot tell you how much money we spent on fixing the boiler every single year. And then I realized that it was just Radha Ishwar. Every year during the marathon, November, we would have it checked, we would do everything. In December, boom, it would blow up and devotees would be coming back having cold showers, and I would be getting so much grief. You don't care about us, and like, do you know how much we've done? And then it just sounds like an excuse. So, but anyway, the point is that someone has to wave the flag, like, let's make sure we care about the devotees. After they go on Sankirtan, how are we looking after the devotees? Going on Sankirtan is also looking after the devotees, but like that. So the idea is to try to establish devotee care offices in every temple. This is very practical. Next slide. So this is a list of some of the devotee care offices, and we see on here we have Calgary, Vancouver. I'm trying to think. I think those are the two that are listed. There may already be more that we're not aware of. So we would like to see more devotee care offices. You have 31, 36, 32 centers here in Zone 1. You could double, and you're into doubling it, into the numbers. So we could easily double just by creating devotee care offices. So there is a document which I have literally in the WhatsApp, was meant to send before our talk, but I thought there was going to be that little break, but it didn't manifest. So I'll send it afterwards. There's a document that's just a template of how you can set up a devotee care office. It's not an absolute thing, it's just a thing that the international team put together that we thought would be a help to guide you. There's also 4 service descriptions that I'm going to share with you. One for a devotee care officer, one for a devotee care office administrator, one for a devotee care office director, and one for a zonal devotee care office rep. So those are four different service descriptions. Ideally, 4 different people would play those roles. In ISKCON, 1 person plays all of them and is also the temple president. So that's usually the way that it works. But our hope is that one day we'll have enough devotees where we can give them other services and they can do it. So I'll share all this with you and after our talk. We're getting close to the end. Prasadam is still not in the building, right? Okay, good. So we should be at the WhatsApp. Oh, that's the document that I'll be sending. Then we can go to the next one. Okay.
We also have a WhatsApp group for communication on devotee care issues, just devotee care issues. And we also just did our first devotee care office meeting. We had about 20 devotees across North America in attendance.
Yeah, so it was very, very progressive, first one. And I've been connected with the Devotee Care International team for a number of years. And definitely North America is the most progressive in devotee care at this point. And by next year, Zone 1 will be the most progressive. Okay. And next slide. Yeah, so this is our national team. And just like to call out Nitai Devi, she's there every week pretty much, almost barring a few, which all of us miss 1 or 2 days. I'd miss more days than her probably. So she's there, so we have like a little national team that are discussing. These are some of the goals that we set for 2025 as far as running courses and creating education and creating a resource directory, expanding devotee care offices, creating zonal care devotee care reps, which is one of the things that we really would like for this zone, to have a clear rep, and the service description is there. And then also our feeling, and what I expressed to the leadership in North America when we first came, is that 335 and also the 108 Temples Project, these things will really only be long-term successful and sustainable if devotee care is at the root. I've only been around for a short time, and I sometimes see that it can be like a conveyor belt. You know, devotees come in and devotees go out. And it's like there's an inordinate amount of attention that goes into making new devotees, and not always enough attention in how do we retain and keep our devotees? How do we recognize that they're going to enter their adolescence, teenage years, and they're going to become rebellious and realize, I don't need you, I can do whatever I like. Imagine Srila Prabhupada had to deal with all of this, and still somehow he was always still encouraging and trying to keep the devotees around. So like that, we're trying to encourage in that way. Next slide.
We also have a website, which is a growing resource that you can also use on devotee care.
And we'd just like to recognize and offer appreciation to a fellow Canadian, if I'm not mistaken. David Prabhu is a fellow Canadian, correct?
From Windsor.
He's from Windsor. So he is really, really inspired by the Devotee Care Initiative. In fact, it was a lot to do with him that somehow we wound up in North America. And it was him who made sure that the website is happening. So he's very enthusiastic, and he was very ecstatic to hear that we were coming to Canada. So to Zone 1, so like that. So appreciation to David Prabhu. Yeah, Haribol. Okay, and that's it. So we have concluded. We went a little quicker than we normally would have, but we'd like to, if there is still time, open it up if anyone has any reflections, questions, comments, corrections, chastisements, derogatory comments, whatever you have, you can share.
They both have about, they have 2 minutes.
I think you meant 3 questions, right? Okay.
Thank you, Prabhu, for such a nice presentation. It was very inspiring. Before I just share the reflection, I also wanted to share what I already shared with you before when I was new in my services. Before I met Indresh Prabhu's wife, Kishori, in the ashram, I was very confused how this, leading an ashram would be a thing, and your videos inspired me a lot. I was shared by someone. Like that really allows to differentiate how a leader leads outside and how a devotee serves, being a servant leader. So that was very nice. You mentioned 12 areas of devotee care. That's really good and organized, because that allows you to focus. Because otherwise, for a leader, it can be a lot of pressure. Oh, I just don't know. Am I taking responsibility for each and everything? If they run out of grocery, I'm going to go and stop their fridge. Or is that devotee care? Or so it's just nice how you've organized those 12 things. One question that comes to my mind is that, when I read Yamuna Prabhu's biography, and there was so much care from Prabhupada. What happened that we just forgot that? How did it just decline? And that now we're trying to inspire ourselves. Oh, Okay, sorry. Can you hear me better now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I was just wanting to ask, how did devotee care lose its place in our movement? Because early, in the initial days, Prabhupada was taking care of the devotees, and the devotees were also taking care. But how, like, do we know what happened? How did we lose it?
There's one here. Thank you for your encouragement, and also I'd like to acknowledge you, as I did earlier, that you're sitting here so diligently, taking care of things, making sure everything works, and especially I love the way that you make it not work for Maharaj and for Indresh Prabhu. That's just really remarkable. Yeah, I mean that's a very powerful question, and I don't want to profess as kind of a youngish devotee that there isn't any devotee care in ISKCON. I know when we had our 40th and 50th anniversary celebrations in London, and we had the representatives of the original 6 devotees, who I was very happy to, I was remembering the other day, they came to Montreal, by the way, right, before they went to London, and Prabhupada trained them in Montreal and prepared them to go to London to open things up there, so it's really nice to be here when that happened. But they all focused on how in the early days it was very much a family mood. It was like a family. Of course, in the beginning, and those of you who are opening small temples or new temples, it's a family mood. But as things grow, the family grows, and you can't really have connection with everyone in the family personally. I remember as temple president, when we introduced the mentorship system, one devotee came to me and he's like, what is this mentorship thing? Prabhupada never did that, and you shouldn't do that. And I was like, okay, well then you tell me how I'm meant to look after 500 to 1,000 people. How am I meant to personally sign off that I know what they do so that they can get initiated? I said, it'll just be people like yourself who come here because you know me and tell me I should let this person get initiated. But that's not, so we have to have some systems in place where we can continue to have that. And I think I'd just like to acknowledge my wife. She's such a wonderful mentor. So many years later, she's still in touch with all these ladies. This is really incredible. So, because it's not a system, it's about how to create loving relationships. And loving relationships last. So then we have to create smaller groups. And when we have smaller groups, then that family atmosphere still feels, it's still there. So the care still happens. And so the leaders have to create those kind of smaller functioning cells. Anyway, I know Kripa Moyapu and the UK, he talks so much about small groups and the powers of small groups. So even we can have a temple with 1,000s, 2,000 people, but if there are smaller groups, then they all feel family, they all feel connected, they can all feel cared for, so like that. So I think it's something that still goes on. I don't think that there isn't care. But I think in the beginning it was smaller and there was a lot of enthusiasm and they were all working together directly. Now it's kind of grown, but Bhakti Maharaj can comment more.
Okay, Hare Krishna. I had the good fortune of being a member of the governing body commissioner, and there are some problems with the way that meetings are led. And one of the biggest problems that I see is that it's a big room with lots of people, but we don't have breakout sessions. When you have breakout sessions, it's like 5, 6 people. Then you get the chance to say something, you don't feel intimidated, and you feel validated. Otherwise, you've got a big room, and usually it's about 3 or 4 people that dominate the meetings. And that we have to change that. So I understand totally what you're saying. I
hope that answers, and thank you, Mark, for corroborating. And I also, again, I just want to acknowledge the leadership here, that there have been different speakers, because every time a different person comes up, the attention change, you're like, oh, it's a new person, it's something new, so your attention can stay there, and you're giving the opportunity to so many new people to present. Plus there's a breakout session every morning, and different opportunities for devotees to connect and get to know each other. So this is really wonderful leadership. So thank you. Anyone else? Any other reflections, or should we finish now? There's another hand, but
Can we wrap it? We have two more. Maybe we can continue at lunchtime, or
Okay.
you're here till tomorrow. Actually, you're here until you're doing the Sunday Feast lecture too. So even tomorrow afternoon, there's a bit of time, a big gap, and they're here.
we're around. Please talk to us. Hare Krishna. Usually when we go to temples, people come up to us and say, "Oh, you're the people who care. Can we talk to you?" I'm like, I'm sure somebody else here cares. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Bhava Bhakti.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Prabhu was very, very nice. Beautiful. Now we have a new category, Devotee Care 32 Centers. We'll fill them up, and hopefully you make many trips to Canada. I think we'll have to go there, and just like Anantama Prabhu is coming every year, make 2 or 3 trips into different zones, and we will organize that. We're very glad. You're this way of the pond. We'll give you maple syrup every stop.